In a distant future, Earth had become a small dot in the vast galaxy. The Galactic Empire ruled over many planets, and they saw humanity as weak and primitive. They ignored Earth, believing humans were not a threat. But deep in the shadows, something incredible was happening. A secret program called Project Phoenix was underway. Scientists and military leaders from Earth worked together to create powerful ships. They wanted to show the galaxy that humans were not as helpless as the Empire thought. Among these ships, one stood out, the Phoenix. It was designed to be the strongest human vessel ever built. The captain of the Phoenix was Alex Rivers. He was not just a skilled pilot, but also a smart and brave leader. Alex believed in the strength of humanity and knew that they had the potential to fight back against the Empire. He had a team of elite soldiers who shared his vision. They were trained in combat, strategy, and the advanced technology of their ship. One quiet evening, Alex gathered his crew in the ship's control room. The walls were filled with screens showing maps and data about the galaxy. The crew, made up of men and women from all over Earth, listened intently as Alex spoke. "Listen up, everyone," he began, his voice steady. "The Empire plans to destroy Earth. They see us as a threat, but we are more than that. We are strong, smart, and ready to fight. This is our chance to show the galaxy what humanity can do." The crew nodded, determination filling their hearts. They were ready to protect their home. Alex showed them the plans for their mission. They would infiltrate the Empire's strongest fleet, led by the massive flagship called the Invincible. It was the most powerful ship in the Empire, and its destruction would send a clear message. As they prepared for the mission, the crew worked hard to ensure the Phoenix was ready. They checked the weapons, repaired the engines, and practiced their roles. Each person knew their task, and they relied on each other. The atmosphere on the ship was electric with excitement and fear. They understood the risks, but their love for Earth and each other drove them forward. Days passed quickly as they trained and planned. Then the day of the mission arrived. The crew stood on the bridge, their hearts racing with anticipation. Alex felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders, but he knew they were ready. "Activate the engines," he ordered, and the ship roared to life. The Phoenix lifted off, breaking through the atmosphere and into the vastness of space. The stars sparkled around them, and the crew gazed in awe at the beauty of the universe. But their mission was serious, and they had to focus. As they approached the Empire's fleet, they saw ships of all sizes, each one more imposing than the last. The flagship, the Invincible, towered above the others, its dark metal gleaming ominously. The crew felt a mix of fear and excitement. They were outnumbered, but they were not going to back down. "Stay alert!" Alex shouted. "We have to be quick and smart. If we can take down the Invincible, we can change everything." They activated their cloaking device, making the Phoenix invisible to the enemy sensors. As they slipped into the heart of the fleet, the crew worked together seamlessly. They communicated through hand signals, each person knowing their role without a word. Suddenly, an alarm blared on the ship. "They've detected us!" a crew member shouted. The tension in the room skyrocketed. Alex's heart raced, but he stayed calm. "Prepare for battle! We can't turn back now." With a fierce determination, the Phoenix surged forward, ready to confront the Empire head-on. The crew was about to prove that humanity was not weak but strong and capable. This was just the beginning of their fight, and they were ready to unleash their hidden power against the Galactic Empire. The crew of the Phoenix felt the adrenaline rush as they flew deeper into the heart of the Galactic Empire's fleet. Captain Alex Rivers stood at the helm, focused on the screens showing enemy ships all around them. The mission was clear, but the danger was very real. If they failed, Earth could be lost forever. "Stay sharp, everyone," Alex said, his voice steady but firm. "Our target is the Invincible. If we can take that ship down, we can disrupt the entire fleet. But we have to move fast and be smart." His crew nodded, their eyes filled with determination. They had trained for this moment. But the reality of the mission was more intense than any simulation. As they approached the massive flagship, tension filled the air. Each crew member was aware that their lives were on the line. As the Phoenix moved closer to the Invincible, Alex spotted a patrol of enemy ships nearby. These ships were small but fast, designed to protect the flagship. He knew they had to act quickly. "Prepare to engage," he commanded. "We need to clear a path to the Invincible." The crew sprang into action. The ship's weapon systems powered up, and the tension in the control room increased. Alex focused on the screens as he piloted the Phoenix through the maze of enemy ships. He felt the weight of responsibility, knowing the fate of Earth rested on his shoulders. "Fire at will!" he shouted. The crew unleashed a barrage of laser fire at the nearest enemy ships. Bright blasts of energy lit up the dark void of space. The smaller ships were caught off guard, and explosions erupted around them. The crew cheered, their spirits lifted as they saw the enemy falter. But the Empire was not easily defeated. Reinforcements arrived, and soon the space around them was filled with enemy ships. The Phoenix was outnumbered, but Alex refused to back down. "Hold your ground! We can't let them stop us!" The crew worked together flawlessly, manning weapons, monitoring shields, and plotting their next move. Alex's heart raced as he maneuvered the Phoenix through the chaos. He could see the Invincible in the distance, its massive size dominating the battlefield. As they fought, Alex noticed a small opening in the enemy lines. "There! That's our chance!" he shouted. The crew adjusted their aim, and the Phoenix surged forward, taking advantage of the distraction they had created. Just as they reached the opening, a sudden alarm blared on the ship. "Captain! They're launching missiles!" a crew member warned. The crew's faces paled as they scrambled to respond. Alex's mind raced, and he quickly shouted, "Engage the defense shields! Prepare for impact!" The ship shook as the missiles hit, but the Phoenix's shields held strong. Alex felt a rush of relief, but knew they were still in danger. "We need to get closer to the Invincible! Stay focused!" With determination, the crew fought back against the enemy. They fired at the missiles, shooting them down one by one. The tension in the control room was high, but they remained united, each member pushing their limits to keep the Phoenix alive. Finally, they broke through the last line of defense. The Invincible loomed before them, a giant fortress in space. Alex's heart pounded as he realized they were so close to their goal. "Prepare to board the Invincible," he ordered. "This is it!" The crew cheered, but they knew the fight was far from over. They quickly activated the boarding pods, ready to infiltrate the flagship. Alex's mind raced with thoughts of what lay ahead. They would be facing the Empire's best soldiers, and the odds were still against them. As they launched the pods toward the Invincible, Alex felt a mixture of excitement and fear. They were taking a huge risk, but the future of humanity depended on their success. The pods landed on the surface of the Invincible, and the crew quickly prepared to disembark. Alex led the way, his heart pounding in his chest. They had come this far, and there was no turning back now. As they entered the Invincible, the crew braced themselves for battle. The air was thick with tension, and they could hear the distant sounds of alarms blaring. This was the moment they had trained for, and they were ready to fight for their home. Humanity's hidden power was about to be unleashed. As the crew of the Phoenix stepped onto the Invincible, a wave of tension washed over them. They had trained for this moment, but nothing could prepare them for the chaos that awaited. Alarms blared, and red lights flashed throughout the corridor. The Empire was aware of their presence, and they would not go down without a fight. "Stay together!" Captain Alex Rivers shouted, his voice cutting through the noise. "We need to reach the control room and disable their weapons systems." The crew nodded, determination shining in their eyes. They had come too far to turn back now. Moving swiftly, the team pressed forward, weapons ready. The corridors were dark and cold, filled with the sounds of clanging metal and distant shouts. Suddenly, a squad of Imperial soldiers appeared at the end of the hallway, weapons drawn and ready for battle. "Get down!" Alex yelled as he dove behind a wall. The crew followed his lead, taking cover just in time. Blaster fire erupted around them, and the air crackled with danger. Alex peeked out to assess the situation. "We can't stay here! We need to take them out!" One of his crew members, Lena, a sharpshooter with quick reflexes, nodded. "I'll cover you while you flank them." She aimed her weapon, her focus sharp. Alex and another crew member, Marco, moved to the side, ready to strike. With a swift motion, Lena fired at the enemy soldiers, her shots precise. The Imperial soldiers stumbled, caught off guard by the sudden attack. "Now!" Alex shouted. He and Marco charged forward, catching the enemy by surprise. In the chaos, blaster fire erupted, and the crew fought with everything they had. The tight quarters of the corridor made it difficult to maneuver, but their training kicked in. They worked as a team, each member knowing their role. Marco tackled one soldier, while Alex took down another with a swift punch. Lena provided cover fire, ensuring they had the upper hand. After a fierce fight, the crew emerged victorious, breathing heavily. "Let's move," Alex urged. They continued down the corridor, adrenaline coursing through their veins. The sounds of battle echoed behind them, reminding them that time was running out. As they neared the control room, they encountered more Imperial soldiers. This time, the enemy was prepared. The corridor filled with blaster fire, and Alex ducked behind a console, his heart racing. "We need to think fast," he said, scanning the area for a way to outsmart them. "Over there!" Lena pointed to a nearby access panel. "We can use the ship's systems against them." Alex nodded, quickly formulating a plan. "Lena, cover me! Marco, let's disable their main power." The crew split up, executing the plan with precision. Alex and Marco rushed to the access panel while Lena provided cover fire, picking off enemies with her sharpshooter skills. As Alex worked on the controls, he felt the tension building. The enemy soldiers were regrouping, and they needed to act quickly. Come on, he muttered, fingers flying over the buttons. Suddenly, the panel lit up and he could see the ship's systems. "I've got it," Alex shouted. "Initiating a power failure in this section." With a press of a button, the lights flickered and went out, plunging the corridor into darkness. The Imperial soldiers were thrown into confusion. "Now!" Marco yelled, and they charged forward again, taking advantage of the chaos. In the darkness, the crew fought fiercely, using their skills to take down the disoriented soldiers. Each victory fueled their determination. As they fought, Alex couldn't help but feel a sense of pride for his crew. They were working together, fighting for their home, and proving that humans were not to be underestimated. The chaos of battle surged around them, but they stood strong. Finally, they reached the door to the control room. "We're almost there," Alex shouted, his heart pounding with excitement. With a swift kick, Marco forced the door open and they rushed inside. The control room was filled with enemy officers, all shocked to see the human crew. "Get them!" one officer shouted, but it was too late. The crew of the Phoenix had arrived, ready to face whatever came next. With blasters raised, the crew prepared for the final showdown. The chaos of space battle raged outside. But within the control room, the true fight for humanity's survival was about to begin. Alex knew they were on the brink of something great. They were not just fighting for themselves, but for all of humanity. The stakes were high, and the chaos was just beginning. The control room of the Invincible buzzed with tension as Captain Alex Rivers and his crew faced off against the remaining Imperial officers. The atmosphere was thick with uncertainty, but they knew they had to act quickly. The future of humanity rested on their shoulders. "Don't let them escape!" one of the officers shouted, panic creeping into his voice. The crew of the Phoenix stood their ground, ready for whatever came next. Blasters were raised, and the crew was determined not to back down. "Lena, take the left side," Alex commanded, pointing to a bank of consoles. "Marco, you and I will flank them from the right." They moved as a unit, each member understanding their role. The officers scrambled to organize themselves, but the element of surprise was in favor of the humans. As they engaged in a fierce firefight, the sound of blaster shots echoed through the room. Lena's sharpshooting skills were on full display as she took down one officer after another. Alex and Marco moved swiftly, ducking behind consoles for cover and firing at the enemy. Suddenly, the lights flickered and the power dimmed. The control room was plunged into semi-darkness, casting eerie shadows on the walls. "What just happened?" Marco yelled, looking around, confusion etched on his face. Alex checked the control panel, his heart racing. "It looks like they're trying to reroute power. We can't let that happen." He began to work furiously at the console, determined to regain control of the situation. In the midst of the chaos, a loud crash echoed from the door. The crew turned to see a group of heavily armed Imperial soldiers storming into the room, their presence adding to the already chaotic atmosphere. "Reinforcements!" one officer yelled in alarm. "Fall back!" another officer shouted, but it was too late. The humans were already in motion. Alex realized they were surrounded. "We need to find a way out," he shouted. Just then, he spotted a large window that overlooked the vastness of space. "If we can reach that window, we might find a way to escape." "Are you crazy?" Marco shouted, glancing at the increasing number of soldiers. "That's a long jump." "Trust me, it's our only chance," Alex replied, adrenaline pumping through his veins. He knew they had to take risks if they wanted to survive. Lena fired a few shots at the approaching soldiers, creating a distraction. "Now!" she shouted, urging them forward. The crew sprinted toward the window, dodging blaster fire as they went. As they reached the window, Alex realized it was sealed tight. "We need something to break this," he exclaimed, looking around for anything that could help. In that moment, Marco spotted a nearby console. There. We can use the control panel! He dashed over and began pulling wires, desperately trying to create a makeshift battering ram. Just then, one of the officers shouted, "They're trying to escape! Don't let them get away!" Blaster fire erupted around them and the pressure mounted. With a final pull, Marco managed to yank a metal panel free. He turned to Alex, breathing heavily. "I think this will work." "Do it!" Alex urged, heart pounding in his chest. Marco swung the panel with all his might, smashing it against the window. The glass cracked but held strong. "Again!" Alex shouted. Marco swung once more, and this time the window shattered with a loud crash. The crew barely had time to react as the air rushed out, creating a powerful vacuum. They could see the vastness of space beyond, stars twinkling like diamonds against the black void.
"Jump!"
Alex commanded, and one by one they leaped through the broken window, hurtling into the unknown. As they fell, they activated their emergency thrusters, slowing their descent just in time. They landed safely on the surface of the Invincible, their hearts racing. "We did it!" Marco exclaimed, looking up at the giant ship above them. But their victory was short-lived. The crew heard alarms blaring, signaling that they were still in danger. Suddenly, a massive explosion erupted from the control room they had just escaped. The force of the blast sent shockwaves through the area, knocking them off their feet. "What was that?" Lena gasped, struggling to regain her balance. "Their self-destruct sequence," Alex realized, panic rising in his chest. "We need to move! Now!" The crew scrambled to their feet, adrenaline fueling their escape as debris rained down around them. As they raced away from the Invincible, Alex felt a mixture of fear and determination. They had survived against the odds, but the battle was far from over. The twist of fate had given them a chance, but now they had to figure out how to turn that chance into victory for humanity. The crew of the Phoenix stood on the surface of the Invincible, breathing heavily and covered in dust. They had escaped the explosion, but the danger was far from over. The Imperial fleet was still in the vicinity, and they needed a plan. Captain Alex Rivers looked at his crew, his heart swelling with pride. They had faced unimaginable challenges together, but they were still standing. "Listen up, everyone!" Alex shouted, gathering his crew in a tight circle. "We've just made a huge statement against the Galactic Empire. We need to use this momentum to our advantage. Do you think we can really take them down?" Marco asked, uncertainty creeping into his voice. "Yes!" Lena chimed in, her eyes shining with determination. "We've proven we can fight back. We just need to come up with a solid plan." Alex nodded, feeling the weight of leadership on his shoulders. "We have two goals. First, we need to contact Earth and let them know what we've done. They deserve to know that we are fighting back. Second, we need to find a way to unite other human vessels and create a coalition against the Empire." The crew murmured in agreement. They all knew the stakes were high, but they had seen the strength of humanity. They could not let fear dictate their future. "All right, let's split into teams," Alex instructed. "Lena and Marco, you two work on finding a way to send a message back to Earth. I'll scout the area and see if we can locate any nearby ships." With a firm nod, the crew sprang into action. Lena and Marco moved to a nearby communication console, their fingers flying over the controls. They needed to bypass the Imperial interference and get a message through to Earth. Meanwhile, Alex scanned the stars for any signs of other human vessels. The emptiness of space felt heavy, but he knew there had to be others out there. Humanity was resilient. They had always found a way to survive. After a few minutes, Lena shouted, "I think I've got a signal!" Her excitement filled the air. "It's weak, but if we can boost it, we might be able to reach Earth." "Do it!" Alex urged, rushing over to help her. They worked quickly, adjusting the frequency and boosting the signal. The tension was palpable as they waited for a response. Back on the surface, Marco monitored their surroundings, alert for any signs of danger. Suddenly, he spotted movement in the distance. "Alex, I think I see something." Alex turned and squinted into the darkness. A faint light flickered in the distance, and his heart raced. Could it be another ship? "Let's hope so," Marco replied, his voice filled with excitement. "We need all the help we can get." Just then, Lena shouted, "I've got a connection!" The console crackled to life, and a voice came through, clear but shaky. "This is Earth Command. We are receiving your signal. What is your status?" "Earth Command! This is Captain Alex Rivers of the Phoenix," he replied, adrenaline pumping through his veins. "We've just taken down a major Imperial fleet. We need reinforcements and support to unite all human vessels against the Galactic Empire." There was a pause on the other end, and Alex could hear the sounds of people scrambling. "Understood, Captain. We will mobilize our forces immediately. Stand by for further instructions." As the transmission ended, Lena and Marco exchanged excited glances. "We did it!" Lena exclaimed. "Earth is coming to help us!" "Now we just have to find those ships," Alex said, looking back at the distant light. "Let's see what we're dealing with." With renewed determination, the crew moved toward the flickering light. As they approached, they realized it was a small fleet of human ships moving cautiously through space. Relief washed over Alex. They were not alone after all. When they finally reached the fleet, Alex quickly relayed their situation. The other ship captains were wary but inspired by the Phoenix's success. They discussed their options, and together, they began to formulate a plan. "We need to hit the Empire hard," one captain said, his voice firm. "If we show them that humanity will not back down, we can turn the tide of this war." Alex nodded in agreement. "We must work together as one united front. We've proven we can fight. Now we must show the Empire that we will never give up." As the crew prepared for battle, a sense of hope filled the air. They were no longer just a single ship against a mighty empire. They had sparked a revolution, igniting the flames of resistance across the stars. This was the beginning of a new era for humanity. As they set their sights on the Imperial fleet, Alex felt a surge of determination. The fight was far from over, but together they would rise against the darkness. The future of humanity was bright, and they would reclaim their place in the galaxy.